The Daily. Dave Hodgson.
Hey, Dave.
TRE.
Welcome back to the show. I'm delighted now we're going to be heading to Scotland. Yes, you heard it right. And we're talking about tea making in Scotland. Good afternoon. How are you, Derek Walker?
I'm very well, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you very much. Now, I've heard of iron brew from Guttas, but I didn't know anything about tea making in Scotland. So how did that all come about then?
Well, it's quite interesting, really. A friend and I, we were getting more and more frustrated about the fantastic coffee that was on offer, and we just couldn't seem to get a great cup of tea anywhere. I don't know how things are in Spain for you, to be able to get yourself a proper brew. But I guess out of frustration, we decided to open up a tea shop at first. We learned a lot in the process of doing that, and we decided to stick with our guns and just sell loose leaf tea. And I guess things have moved on from there. About a year ago, we decided to set up a plantation, and so we now have a very large plantation right here in Scotland, in Perthshire.
So do you feel that there's a tea renaissance going on? Because I was back in the UK last week, and I enjoyed a good cup of tea. But here in Spain, of course, it's more coffee as you go around the cafes and so on. So do you feel that tea is coming back on the agenda after coffee dominating for a while?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Even in America, there are tea shops opening up in Manhattan. One of the, Starbucks has just opened up a tea shop in the States. There's a whole lot of big movement in the UK for tea shops. A lot of the German coffee houses becoming tea houses. There's absolutely a demand for a good proper cuppa.
Brilliant, lovely. And so when we think of tea making places, obviously we think of India and China and those kind of countries. So you must get some strange looks when you say to somebody, maybe at a party, what do you do? Well, we're tea makers in Scotland.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Everybody gets quite excited about it and thinking, how on earth can you grow tea in Scotland? But we simply, in the simplest way, we look after the plants. The plants are well cared for, and we use different technology to be able to make sure that they're protected in our climate.
So whereabouts in Scotland are you then, if you give us an idea?
Well, we're in Perthshire, not too far from Dunkeld, and the plantation itself sits in a field called Dalriach, which is the Field of the King, I think named after Robert the Bruce, actually, King Robert the Bruce. And just above the plantation there's a beautiful highland spring, a natural highland spring, and the water flows down from the highland spring and just flows down past the plantation itself. So it's a beautiful setting to grow really lovely tea.
It sounds really idyllic. What about, I know it's probably a bit of a shock to you, but Scotland is cold, isn't it, from time to time? So.
Yeah, not today though. It's actually lovely here today for a change. If we'd been speaking a couple of days ago, we'd be discussing how cold it was for sure. But yeah, we certainly do 4 seasons here, don't we?
So do you have to fight the frost and snow and so on? How's that go?
Yeah. Basically, we use a degradable polymer, almost like a degradable natural plastic, which can sit on top of the soil. And what happens with that? If you imagine putting a sheet of plastic on top of soil, the moisture stays below that, and it helps to trap the heat as well. So you can create a really nice humid conditions on the top of the soil, which protects the root of the plant itself and helps it to grow well. And above that, we can cover the plants, but we do leave the plants above that because they're kind of fooled into thinking that the climate's much better than it actually is.
So, do you make some of these what I call trendy teas? Because my wife likes some of these trendy teas, but I just like a nice cup of tea with milk in it. I'm a bit old-fashioned. So
yeah, I think you can kind of get hooked on it, because I was a bit of a tea novice a couple of years ago, and I'm starting to appreciate tea more and more for how delicate tea flavours can be. Back in the days when I would be first drinking tea, my granny would have a pot of quite rich black mixture of a Scottish breakfast tea sitting on the cooker all day long, and that was my introduction. But nowadays I love a beautiful cup of white tea or even green tea, minty green tea, and would even push myself so far as to have a cup of rooibos, which is not actually from the same plant, not from the Camellia sinensis plant, but from a bush in South Africa. And rooibos has got incredible properties. It's full of vitamin C, naturally caffeine-free. It's a really, really healthy option as a hot drink. We blend ours with vanilla, actually, so we have a rooibos and vanilla tea, which is just absolutely beautiful.
And how much tea are you actually producing there at the moment? Are you... is China worried? That's what I'm saying.
Should they be worried? I don't think they should worry yet. We have at the moment about a 4-acre spread of our in a plantation, and we're looking to take our plants from about 4,000 to 6,000 quite quickly.
Wow.
So it is quite a big space, but the amount of tea that comes from that is negligible at the moment because we've just had our first harvest, our first crop, or I feel like our first flush in on Valentine's Day this year, and that tea has been extremely sought after. There's not a lot of it, and it's sitting with some quite influential buyers just now, and so we're waiting to hear back from them on on what their opinions are. So far, the feedback's been incredible. I've actually tasted it myself, and I guess it's like I compare it to possibly a nice Darjeeling, beautiful champagne colour and a really nice nutty flavour to the tea itself. And we produce that and manufacture that in Scotland at the plantation.
It sounds great. So you've got bigger companies that are interested, and maybe once that happens, it's where it's a snowball effect, I suppose. After that, it's just where does it end?
Yeah, well, the main thing for us is encouraging people to drink more tea just generally, and to ask for real tea, to ask for a proper brew and not a dusty tea bag. A lot of our customers from the Wee Tea Company, we work with local independent cafes and delis throughout the whole of the UK. It'd be nice to get some in Spain, actually. Local independents who want to make a good... Yeah, it would be great to send them stuff, because a lot of people are a bit embarrassed. Cafe owners are embarrassed by this wonderful coffee offering and a really poor tea offering, and we can give them a solution to that.
Well, we have lots of Scottish here, living here and on holiday here, and British all over the place. And what a great little thing for your cafe to say, we sell Scottish tea.
Yeah, and I see what you did there with the Wee Tea Company.
Oh, there you go.
Sell Scottish tea.
I never even noticed it myself. That's how good it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly becoming more and more popular, and certainly the feedback that we're getting from the cafes is that their customers are delighted that they can eventually finally go into some place and get what could be termed a proper cup of tea. I mean, recently I went in and asked for a cup of tea, and I was charged more for more water for a large. I didn't even get an extra tea bag. It's just a bit embarrassing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You don't want to water. You need to. My dad always used to say to me, "Make me a cup of tea and give the tea bag a chance." He always used to say that. So, I mean, do you feel that you feel like you're pioneering something here? Do you feel that other companies will follow in your stead?
Scotland, yeah, I think so. Yeah, and Scotland generally has a great heritage with tea. I mean, some of the tea clippers that were actually built in Scotland were bringing some of the first tea to the UK many years ago. But I think there is a revival, and I think there is a chance now for people to take tea more seriously, and I think Scotland is leading with that. In the UK, there are very few tea plantations. Certainly, I think we're possibly the largest tea plantation in the UK, and we aim to keep growing.
Not wanting to get political, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway.
Sure.
As a businessman in Scotland, with this growing business, obviously going to be selling to all over the UK and hopefully in Europe as well. How does that bode with the vote coming in September? Are you feeling that could be, if Scotland went independent, that would be negative for business?
I don't think so. I think Scotland... it's a great question, actually. It's a political question. I guess it's difficult to answer that without being personal. I think Scotland...
Well, I want to be personal.
Let's just say this. Tea brings people together, doesn't it?
Yes.
It solves every problem. And so maybe if we had a few people sitting around drinking more tea, then the UK and the politicians would be happier and making better decisions.
So let's get David Cameron and Alex Salmon in the same room. They give a good pot of tea.
Exactly. We'll supply the tea and say, come on, let's do the best for Britain here, and the best for Europe and our connections in there. Let's do that.
Brilliant. Is there anywhere we can go online just to have a look, and maybe there may be somebody out there who's got a cafe here in Spain is thinking maybe this would be just a nice little add-on to what we're doing, with having Scottish tea. So I wonder if there's a website they can visit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's the Wee Tea Company. It's just Wee Tea Company, WEETEA Company.com.
Brilliant.
WeeTeaCompany.com.
Right, we're going to play a bit of Bernard Cribbins. I know you said you were listening to the show earlier on, so hopefully this is your sort of music. Bernard Cribbins.
I'm loving the show.
And right, so Fred. And we all stop for tea, of course. Cheers. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Get back to your tea now. I'll let you go and have a nice cuppa.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, cheers. Derek there, talking about tea in Scotland. Love it. Love it.